All right, so what do you think the first thing that's important to even worry about closing and distance control? What do you think the most important thing is to start with? Yeah, that is important. Maybe not the most important. Well, more important than their range, what do you think you should
know your range. Know
your range, exactly right. Like, if you don't know what your range is, then you're in pretty big trouble. So the first thing we'll do is we can use this nice line right here. And if you're right foot forward or left foot forward, it doesn't really matter to me. And then what I want you to figure out then with the step, what your range is, right? With the not with the crazy step. We're not going to get like that, right? But with the controlled kind of step forward, how far can I get, right? Don't even have to worry about hitting right now. Just the step, boom, how far does I get my front foot on the ledge? In other words, at my max, what can I hit some with, right? So come use this line right here. And just, we're not looking for NBA leaps, right? We're looking for controlled, like movement forward and how we can get a lunge on our range, right? So use that line and step out and then see how much it is. And then make a note of it and see how long it is. At least understand your mind. We don't do teams, but that's fine. He said he wanted to learn how to be tall better. I'm like, well, I'm 5'8".
Will this class be just to be taller? Because I'm in for that.
Yeah, me too. That's your secret. Stay till the end. You're going to stretch us out, right?
Yeah.
Hold the other end.
All right, so this time when you go, stop. Take a note of what that is, right? Okay, you good? All right. Now look back and understand how far you can come with the safe. Remember, people said safe. That was a key word. Close safe. This is how you. This kind of step is how you close safe. This kind of step is how you close like an idiot and get killed. Right? So we want to control this. So understand that distance now. And then like from here, I don't feel good. Even if I close, I don't feel happy. Right? But from like right here, I feel good with that, right? I can close and get a good shot and maintain my posture and my stance without looking down. Whereas here, could I hit it? Sure, I could, but look what position I end up in to do that. It totally breaks everything in my stance. It's compromised. It's horrible for me. So if I miss, where I'm in trouble. So what we want to think about is if we miss, what happens? Even in closing, where do we go?
I made the
All
huge
the way
mistake
through
of
the
trying to
whole
practice
motion.
almost every day and sometimes
now,
twice a
You
day.
understand our ranges? We have it in our mind?
You need to take
Okay.
this off. And I find it like
The next secret is when you're approaching someone
is pretty much the
and you want to
biggest
fight,
load of practice that a person
toe to toe.
can handle without
Your toe versus their toe is the big secret color on range,
So
right?
I would probably
Because
have to go
you know what your range is pretty much. We kind of figured out what our elite range was, but we already know kind of what our sword range is. So where I need to get my toe in comparison to your toe to hit you is important, right? 'Cause you can't fake your toe, right? If you're doing stupid stuff like that, it doesn't matter. So
my point is actually
looking at his front foot without looking at his front foot, right? Looking without looking, you don't have to look down. That's silly, but you can see it. And you know where your toe is, right? So your comfort level here. Now I know I'm just at max range, I can kind of safely hit it. Here, no. But I feel that from the toes. I can see that from looking. So understand that with your own range.
So you need to make
You
sure
can't always know their range for a little bit. It'll take a while. Because some people are
especially
like have crazy monkey arms and they can hit you from far away.
fighting my head so
Yeah, and they're tall. So,
But
but when you get that down, kind of with your big closing step, right,
you don't need to feel
and toe to toe,
closing your
right. I know I can throw safely from here. I know my elite range too. Elite range, right?
Nutrition is
So
really important.
no, right there, I feel good.
The highest value on
Now I can
this
take that,
class.
jump in,
I think for half,
take a snap,
about 1 grand.
right? That's understanding your range. You won't know theirs necessarily right away, you can kind of gauge it, but we'll get a feel for it.
55 weight, which most of it is up in going down.
No, all right, so,
One called slow card that you can look at.
the first thing that's useful for that,
incorporates just the
is, we talked about safely, someone said they want to safely come in and close.
very
Actually, a couple people were basically saying in that concept that they want to safely come in and close. Well, the way that we do that now,
and there's also key code, which is very popular.
I don't like to come in, like,
It's really
if I'm fighting
best of your
shot
abilities
here,
to
I don't like to come in and just do this. I don't like to do that. It's not safe at all. I open up lots of targets. There's lots of potential for me to get hit in that process. So, for one, right away, we start kind of, someone joked about where you're going. You start right away, it's kind of moving a little bit right or left. I prefer kind of right, just to kind of see when we're going to kind of come in with closing. And then I like to try to mask it behind something meaningful, either like a very safe open shot. A lot of people will like to throw kind of underneath that hand, very safe, even here, on the safe opener, at the shoulder maybe here, right? Safe opener, see how I'm not directing it, but I'm not leaving it. I'm not doing this, right? I'm closing into a good range, right? And then, the big secret, right? People will say, well, the closing step is what's important, right? I like left foot forward for a good closing step. People say the left foot forward is a more defensive stance. I don't agree with that, because it is more defensive by default statically, but the right foot closing step is a huge offensive tool. And, you know, if I'm left foot forward and I can take this big right foot closing step, that's a lot of range, right? We're going to talk about, now the toe thing becomes completely different, because now my toe's up here, right? So, it's a good closing tool. If you're going to be right foot forward, the answer here, again, you want to close.
They're fastly, or people tend to
Fast,
fast,
slide.
they're fast, whereas other
If
classes.
I just step
What
out,
tends to happen is.
now my stance is broken, I'm popping my hand, and I have to recover from this position. So, in your course of movement, again, we're kind of stepping, you slide this foot up, and step out to get a shot. See how that works? The back foot is key, especially if you're going to fight right foot forward, and a lot of you like to. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, you know,
The next thing
you're going to have to slide your back foot up. I think stance dancing is good, even if you like to start right foot forward, maybe you slip your left foot forward, and then now, I think that's the closing step that will help me win the shot. So, on that, any questions about that before we move on? It's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, you can fight with either foot forward you want. I'm not going to say one's better than the other one. I think there's advantages and disadvantages for both. Statically, if you're just a counterpoint fighter, it's kind of more like a
Normally, this contains a lot of ways, it contains a lot of
but
explanations.
you do kind of lose the closing steps. Think about the transition, lead foot switching. All right, so,
Quick question.
oh, sorry.
Are you assuming that you're going to be trying to draw their first shot, or are you trying to take the first shot, or do you not care?
No, we're about to take the first shot on them right now. This is all set up for that.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into safely taking your first shot. Obviously, you can throw any first shot you want, and have it be garbage and no good, and not have a good follow-up. So this is all building up to, hey, we're going to take the
But
first
you're
shot.
planning to try and kill them before they do anything, rather than draw them into something.
Right, yeah, we're going to get to draw them later.
But he understands that he's not as tall as some people, and he's gonna have to get in some range, and that's gonna mean that there's some time when the other guy can be throwing shots at him.
Sure.
Yeah,
So he wants to have everything tight, get where he wants to do, and then do what he wants.
Right, okay.
this is all about setting up, yeah, exactly. This is all about setting up that opportunity safely for us to take a closing step. Because, yeah, I'm 5'8". I've been 5'8" my entire fighting career, which is also, you know, that 30-year range, right? And I'm used to having to deal with people that are much taller than me throwing shots at me from far away. And that's where this is kind of coming from, this, especially this segment of the class, is how do we get in and take advantage of it safely? You have less of a struggle with this than some people, but it's still definitely a good learning, right? So we keep our board tight if we're bored, and if we're slow, that's fine, we keep our guard tight.
That's our.
And then I like to kind of throw something safe, right? So if you want to increase, where is that right behind?
In my case,
That's mine, go for it.
Yeah, can you borrow it and use that real quick? Okay, so I'm fighting him, and starting at this range, right? Like I said, we don't want to do this, right? There's a lot of problems. If I do that, like the minute this happens, Zach should. Yeah, it's going to kill me in my hip, right? Because I haven't done anything to defend it, and I'm just stepping into it. It's pretty silly, right? So automatically, we know, like I said, we want to kind of step off. We're looking for, we kind of want to lock them down, right? So something like that. Perfect. Now we lock them. See what happens with that? See, what do you think we're going to do? Okay. That is probably what I would do. That is probably what I would do. But here, like, right, we see the but we want to take a closer step to the other side. We don't want to do that, right? It's not very good. And again, I'm all about chin up, shoulders back. Our structure's good, right? Our stance is good. We want to kind of stay in this position. All throughout this entire process, you'll note that I'll mostly stay in this position, right? From this nice safe open, here we're left foot forward. So we have our very good offensive left foot. People talk about our defensive stance, right? We go here, work with them, step here, right there, right? And our feet are still good. Flip out, when you come here, look, change, that doesn't bother us. We're still like in a good structured stance, right? So our first shot for a closing shot, this is called an AK-47. It was invented a long time ago, specifically to deal with someone who had a ton of range on me, actually. And his thing was always to throw this at me right from range, and I'd throw anything at him, and he would just outrange me. And he would just pop me over here over and over and over again. And I'm like, well, how can I do it? So, no, it was mostly left for at that point. This was years ago. And my answer was, I've got to get my board in the right spot, and then I don't want to get in the high cross game, and then the second thing is much better at than I was. So I want to get pop and so step the right here. And yeah, you can't as well. He's pretty good at blocking both of them now, though. So if you get in, you might get away with it a couple times on the ditch field, but don't go and go, oh, he gave me a clue on killing Harry. Like it's not as good as it used to be. He's kind of used to it now, but it's still pretty good. You'll probably get away with it a couple times, and he'll adjust for you. But yeah, so the first one, and you can practice this one, and then I'll let you guys partner up and practice this one. Is again, we're getting our good movement right. I like to say, your cheek on this side of their cheek. That's how I know I'm kind of off center. Because if we try this from, like we're face to face here on center, it's not as good. One, that can happen too, even if you block it. So he blocked it. He tried to move it so I could still hit him and still block it, right? Because we're just not in a good place. And you know, the way to compensate for that is a huge step. But then look, again, our structure becomes compromised. There's chances of garbage. So you want to set it up. Your cheeks on the other side of this. The cheeks tell the story, right? That cheek lined up in his cheek.
And then you got to make sure
it's simple. Our stance is still good. We're not compromising. AK-47, very simple, good open shot.
When you bench, right? They talk about like this book has a lot of different motor teachers.
So it's kind of just like it's a safe shot into a step.
Back of the capsule, right?
Well, it's not dark side.
I don't go into the shield.
Okay, I mean,
like this,
like a money.
awkward, like carrying.
It's not really money either. I know the wheel guys call everything money, but every sword sight hit is not money. This is just a sword sight hit. That's specifically an AK-47. This sword sight hit is nice and tight. It's not really navy. It's just a flat wrap.
So he sets it up with the steps, and then you step the hip turns to bring the sword to the ground.
And you can see how my back foot kind of slides right in front. Top, that's the whole execution, right? So the whole shot, again, goes to the safe open, right? Get our cheek in the right place, the safe open, and then after that, yeah, after that, get here, get to our good range, right? We know that from the toes, safe open, step here, that's it, safe open, step to the hip. So our hand goes like this, right? our hand doesn't go, and it's not going like this, we're not using crazy wrists, like we don't need to back flip our wrist. It's really just and think about chainsaw, lawnmower, pop,
Give it to them without you have the board so they control it.
yeah, so again here,
That's how you're supposed
pop,
to stretch your hand. You don't want to create that
right,
slack.
and we move.
But
We
before
step.
this, like,
The right foot comes forward, right foot comes forward, right?
Is that what you want
It's a
to
close
do?
step. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So,
But, hold on, if you wanna be right foot forward, if you're insisting on being right foot forward, that's fine. I teach it both ways, because some people like, I always wanna fight right foot forward. I really like the shot left foot forward, though I would try it, even if you prefer right foot forward.
right, because it's stretches global.
We do the same thing, we slide our back foot up there. We have to, or we're gonna compromise our structure, but do it in the course of the opener,
And some
right?
people like the
Opener.
Some people.
Yeah, because if I see his foot slide up,
Go ahead.
just to start, I'm probably gonna just like
Yeah, so it has to be part of it, it's part of the whole sequence. Get to the good range, get our cheeks in a good place, pop, pop, all like one right after the other, so you don't give it away. Smart people see a back foot come up and they're like, oh, it's closing, here comes the step, right? So if you prefer right foot forward, that's how you do right foot forward. Again, try left foot forward. Even if you like right, even if you prefer left foot forward like I do. Eventually, you could try some right foot forward to trick people, but I wouldn't worry too much about that now. Pick a partner, let's practice it. And I won't give you guys a lot of time to practice this, but we want to get to some other stuff. And it's pretty much the same thing, just a little bit different. Let me borrow you for a second, John.
Yeah, sure.
So here, we've been moving right? We're going to break our rule and we're going to move left for a little bit. So again, we want to get this set up. Again, our cheeks tell the story, so we want our cheek on this side of his cheek, right? So this side now, we're going to the other side. We throw an opener, but this time at the shoulder, at his sword side shoulder, right? We throw opener, nice safe range. And again, with the first shot and this shot, we're not like throwing all crazy and extending way out to try to hit it. For one, if we do that, how are we ever going to get down to our second shot? It won't happen. And two, we just expose all kinds of response. And we want to be super safe, right? So come here, throw to that shoulder. Now we're going to step left. Boom. Same hit. Right, a left step. And we're going to get outside their guard that way. And even if they try to block it with their sword, you can try to block it with your sword here. I open here, tries to block it with the sword. Right? Even if it gets it down, like straight down, I can get to the other side of it.
Oh, okay.
Here, and I'm coming underneath. So get underneath and then up here on that one if they block it with their sword. Right? So that's the left step variation. I'm not going to let y'all practice that because we've got a lot of stuff to get to, but just realize, you know, the only difference is we're opening to the left and we're stepping to the right. If we open to the right, we step to the right. That's all you really need to know about the shot.
Well, the thing is, he's going to go back to that.
If you're fighting right foot forward, yeah, you can do it that same way.
Well, because it's just when you were moving it left foot forward, it looked like you stepped.
Oh yeah, I did pull it. Yeah, I pulled it.
Pull it up.
Yeah, because again, we have to step, right? And if you're gonna have to step, it's a good point. It's a fundamental point. If you're gonna step with your front foot, you need to bring your back foot up. So it's the same thing though on the opener, right? You slide, and we step. All right, that's the left foot variation. What's yeah. The next thing that we'll kind of cover quick is like a stab fake, right? We want to get inside safe. A stab fake is a very good thing because if they don't react to the fake, what do you think you do? Exactly. If they don't react, we can just stab them. And that doesn't mean it works 100% of the time because they still can get their guard back up. And you have to be careful, especially against taller people when you're fighting them. You want to table your board a little bit because they can get over it. Because they're taller than you already, if you're fighting someone much taller than you. Yeah, there you go. Sitting down, I couldn't see him. You know, you'll want to table your board a little bit to protect that shoulder. But since you'll come in right here, right? This is what we're looking for. From here, here's our closing step over the top. Right? Sometimes, I don't recommend this, but sometimes you don't even need to step. You can just come around. The reason why I like to step is because we don't want to stay somewhere bad if they do block it. And if we don't take a step, what we've done is we've compromised their stance a little bit, right? and we throw it, now he's blocked, now our stance is compromised, our knees are so we can't react, and we're in a bad spot. Whereas if we come here, he blocks, here we come back to defense, right? It's okay. So, that one, fake down, simple low high, right? So the other way to fake that, especially with the meta being so much sword side hip right now, is come in and just put your hand sword side hip. Yeah, see how this comes down? Again, I think if we just pop that up, he can get his guard up even here. We go here, here, yeah, his guard's gonna come up. So if we set it up here, even if his guard's up, you can still get around and get to it, right? On the close a lot, when you get close especially, choke. Because you got a piece of that, because I didn't choke enough, I didn't have the right angle to get over the top of that board. So, in the midst of your shot, right? So I come here, he bites a little bit, comes back up, and get over, right? That super important on the close.
Can you do the forward real slow on that one?
Forward roll step, yeah. So it's basically the same kind of goal step forward, right? We come here, throw this here. On the way in, don't do this ahead of time. It gives it away that you're closing. It's another piece of information for them. On the way in, you do this, and then we can come over the top. And notice how I don't, because I'm 5'8", I don't just come over the top. I can sometimes, but it's really better for me to step around a little bit and come around on the top side instead of just over the top. Alright? Let's give you another one before we go to practice, and we'll kind of practice all three at once since we're breaking up that way. I'll let Joe show what he's going to do to close. Yeah. That way they can have 3 things to practice instead of just stop, practice, stop, practice.
So James has to fight to really make a range in order to get in and make a shot. I want to get to the edge of somebody's range and hit them. Alright, so we're both going to start out a little bit further apart. In order to close, we're going to do the same kind of stuff. We're going to step with the shield leg split. We're going to follow up. Make sure we've got our balance right. But when I'm stepping, I'm typically going to throw a fan. So I'm going to step here, and even though I'm really kind of far out of range to throw anything, I can still do something with hand punch, a little shoulder twitch, little body move to make them think, oh shit, something's coming over here. I've got to keep my sword tight. I've got to do something. And then, from this position, I can either continue to press by taking another step here, in order to trying to lock down his sword as my sword, put his shield on, my shield on his sword and his shield. As soon as I can get his sword in, come down here. Because I'm laying on his shield, he can't rotate his shield back to block the shoulder, right? Not very well. So, the other variation is, or another variation is, step up here. Not a workout too. So, I'm just using the fact that James said offensive step from the shield side foot. Those butts or their legs?
Those are butts. Yeah. Those are coming up into his back. Yeah. Okay. They're solid. They're good reps.
So I'm generally in a pretty good defensive position. I'm a little too straddled here, so I don't have a lot of place to get out of here. But I've got pretty good defense. And all I have to do then is push off my lead foot so I can get back into the
Yeah. Go ahead.
The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to step up here like this, and I'm still a little bit out of range, and see if he throws something. If he does, then I'm like all on over and like white on rice. So, thanks, Jeff. Being so accommodating.
Yeah, so that's super important because everything we've shown so far in closing has come in with a threat. All of this stuff implied a threat, right? AK-47 is a threat, to that shield side. We're not going crazy with it, but it's still a threat. understab, or sword side hip fake is a threat. Everything's a threat. We don't just wander into range without like them having to feel like I have to stay exactly like you said, tight, keep my defense in place. Otherwise, we have lots of chances to hit you. So you don't really want to do that too much. So we looked at stab, we looked at the high variation. It was really good. I've seen that happen to me enough times to know. We got to be real careful with that. The last one that we'll talk about, kind of practice all of them. I want to fit this in. We got a lot of people, so you guys expect a lot of time. But since I talked about the shot to kill Harry, Harry's favorite. Harry's probably second favorite nowadays, but his shot, the people call the arty cross. He throws here. Again, this is all about throwing something, right? And he doesn't have to close as much as I do to do this, so realize that. But I have to close a lot more to do it. But he'll throw here, right? And then he'll step in, and the thought is that they're going to answer with a shot back into his sword, which happens most of the time, right? So he'll throw here, step in, she throws back to his sword, and then he just throws top here. Notice the board comes over, and then he pops, boom, at that hip. If they don't throw something back, it still doesn't matter. Throws here to lock the sword down, step in, boom, pop at that hip high. That's the motion that happens though, because we're looking at the responses all being over here. So if you take that away, then you can hit them kind of in that hip space. Called an arty cross. Generally, what he does when he does it as well is he brings everything high. Like his entire presence comes high. He wants you to think high when he does this move, right? So yeah, so he's not doing anything crazy low. Not that he does a ton of that anyway, but you know, he even does crazy stuff like this. And then he'll stand up as tall as he possibly can, as high as he can. He'll press in, he'll throw. You know, everything's already high because your reaction to him, like coming high, is like, oh, we're playing high. Well, I'm going to bring my stuff higher too, right? Which is exactly what he wants. And he throws, you're already high, you throw back at him, and then boom, fight over. He does this to, I mean, still me to this day, and I've seen it for years and years and years, but any high-end fighter you name, I've watched him own them with that shot over and over again. So, you know, it's a very good and very effective shot, and it's a closing shot. For those of us who are 5'8" and or around 5'8", we have to work a little bit harder because he'll stay a little bit more range and pop at it from further back. We don't have that advantage, but we understand the concept. Even if you're 5'8" or shorter, someone shorter than you. Yeah, come high. Like do that same. I even the sword bang in the hairy face if I can. You know, high. Like get as high as you can. If you're going to come in and bring that and go for that straight arty cross. And the shot goes like this. It's not so much high cross. It's called arty cross because it's slightly different. It's more of a this than a I'm reaching out and just crossing like that.
The important thing is that most of the time on a high cross, rotate their whole bodies like this, right? And open up this side. They're not doing that.
Yeah. Or just almost like if you put your hand against the wall and did that, you're practicing a 6. Almost that shot. It projects a little bit more than that, but you get the basic idea. If you do it that way. Yeah, don't do that. So it's yeah, I said Harry, right? But it's really just. All right, I'll talk about what he does, and then I'll talk about the slight variation that I've made in the recent, like, last couple of years. He just literally comes straight at you. And I mean, bang the thing, bring the presence high, march straight at you like I said not to do, right? And then, like, throw at you from here to get you to do this. And, oh, you can hit me now, it's your turn. And then you pop right into that. His arm, hip, he doesn't really care. Right? It's going to be there. If you see him, if you feel his presence get high, that shot's coming. Just understand that. And, you know, maybe now, the variation that I've added more recently that I use against him when we're playing this game, I do like to play it. I don't always win, but it's fun, is I'll do the same kind of opener, right? And I'll come in and I'll throw this, but then I'll step way right. See what that does? It changes everything, right? So that big closing stuff that we talked about works here too. And you just come in and now you're a little bit off. Your shield still has to come over, but you're a little bit better. You're kind of used to the shield because your shoulders popping through. So you can certainly try that, but the fundamental one is just, I'm going to come in, you know, I know what I'm planning on doing, you don't know, so I'm going to pocket that. So if you fought Harry on, you've been hit by that, and I know why. He was ready for it, you probably weren't. Just watch But you give people that, 100%. If you can raise your presence right, no.
Okay.
He generally doesn't choke to throw that. But he's throwing it with a little more range. And I don't even think I choke to throw it too much, but I think when I throw the right step one, I'll choke some because I'm really getting a lot of torque kind of at the end when I do the right step one.
He doesn't, he fights with the 38 for the most part, right?
He does now.
Okay.
He fought with 36s before that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, he can
I was
fight.
going to ask if that had anything to, like, any sort of...
It means he can stay further back and do it. And that's what he's doing nowadays. He's ranging out more with that shot.
And really with the 38, he's going to focus more on the sword side shoulder.
Yeah.
Just drop it straight on you.
Yeah. When we get distance control, we talk about the Dirty Harry. The sword side shoulders. Yeah. But, all right. Y'all want to practice those a little bit? It's a lot of shots. We'll give you some time. I don't want to use up a lot of time because we haven't even talked about distance control yet. We're only talking about closing. But I think these gives you a lot of options for closing. But I want you to practice something before we move on so we can kind of find two for you. So pick some partners. Let's throw down. We're now to the range control section of the fighting. So again, remember we kind of talked about what our range was, right? What our max range was, especially with the step. Now, if we want to maintain that distance, what do you think that we're going to do with our movement to maintain that range? What do you think the most ideal way for us to move is to maintain that range and to set up the shots that we want to land? What do you think we do?
Lateral?
Lateral, yeah, mostly right, but it doesn't have to always be right. Some people feel like step to the right is becoming some kind of dogma like block strike, and I don't want it to become that. I just want you to understand that what we're trying to do is get advantageous angles, right? So if can I borrow you? Yeah. So if I'm pushing in on him, and he just stays straight up and down on me, and I'm moving lateral, meanwhile, I see all kinds of shots, even though he's taller than me. Like I can even go to something like that, which isn't something I would really throw that much, especially if he was moving properly. Alternatively, if he moves laterally, and I'm coming on him, right, that shot goes away. See how the angle changes? I can't get to that shot. Don't even move your shield. I can't get to that shot anymore, right? Like, he's changed the angle so that if I throw for that shot, it's very, very bad for me. So, even without a setup, when he was not moving properly, we had a clear look at his shoulder, and he's about 10 feet taller than I am, right? So, we want to move laterally a little bit while we're maintaining distance. If we just step straight back, we invite people to kill us, especially when this part of the step happens, right? Because here I'm locked. If I'm moving straight backwards, I've locked myself here for a second until I get my weight back adjusted, and then I can move backwards again. Whereas here, I'm not as locked. Notice how I'm sliding my feet a lot? I told this story earlier, but in the dojo we use carpeting, and I have shoes that I only wear inside, and I only wearing them there, I wore all the way through. A pair of Nikes, basketball shoes, I wore all the way through the bottom. On the toes, because I slide my feet all the time. I think yours were worn all the way on the toe as well.
Yeah, mine are worn like right on the side here.
Yeah, from sliding your feet. Why? Because we keep our feet close to the ground so that we can't get caught in these compromised positions. This isn't a long time, right? It's really a short period of time, but it's a bad period of time. It's where you're stuck, and people can take advantage. And when you're fighting, 6 or 7 sword knights at a time, in one night, they look for stuff like that. You're going to get taken advantage of. So since all this stuff we're teaching you is to be really, really good people and not so good people, but I want you to be able to go home and beat the really, really good people, right? That's the whole point. The movement is important, right? And the sliding is good. So again, if he's coming into me, and I want to maintain distance, although I wouldn't, but just for the example's sake, if he's pushing into me, I'm going to slide off a little bit and just keep that distance nice. Because if I don't, he'll get me over the top more than I can. So that's why we do that. And sword side hip's the meta, right? Everyone's throwing sword side hip. Everyone's about it. Well, that slip, lefties have always done it. That slip will also block that sword side hip shot. Without you using your sword to block it. Without you dipping your shield to block it, right? If I throw sword side hip on him, right, and he says he's moving straight backwards on me, I'm going to throw sword side hip. Straight backwards, sword side hip easy, right? So this time, don't move straight backwards on me. Lateral to the right a little bit. Straight in. Right? He didn't even drop his board that much, although he did some. If I saw that, I would come back to the shield side. But he didn't need to drop his board is the point. Like the board gets there and cuts off the angle. This is why we lateral. you know, I know it's kind of getting repetitive, the step right thing, but I want you to really remember, like, this is going to be super advantageous for you as you fight. And the question was already asked, what about a lefty? Do I step right on a lefty? Well, what's a lefty's primary target? Yeah, so what do we do to take that away? Step right. Yeah. And she's like, well, shouldn't I move left on a lefty? My people tell me I should move left. Why would I do that? And I'm giving them what they want, right? Here, yeah, I'm putting my shield in the way. I can even be a little bit closer to it. I'm putting my shield in the way, right? That is the point of stepping right. We don't have to move our defense in. Every time you have to compromise your structure by doing something like this is a bad thing for you, because that's going to happen. Any number of things is going to happen that kills you. The more you can maintain your defense, right, the better. That's why we move ourselves and we don't move our boards as much. That's the entire point to this. We move us, we don't move our boards, because we're less susceptible to fake that way. If someone fakes something at you, even all the cool fakes we've been showing, right, and you smile at them as an answer, that's a little confusing to them, right? If your answer is to step right and smile, they're like, this isn't very good for me. I might be in trouble, right? So think about that. That's the value of that. When we're closing, and now when we're maintaining range as well, we want to keep that good off-angle right step most of the time. There are reasons not to, but most of the time. All right. So the first maintain range shot really should go to Joe to show, because he's taller than me and got better range shots. I call it the high ball. You know, it'll look like a regular high shield side shot to you, but it's not. He does some variation stuff that's pretty cool.
So a lot of times, once again, I'll try to throw something or fake something over here to pin a sword for a second. So I can hit it from here with a step. Instead of from here, big step. So that's why when James fights me, how's the shield go?
Goes up here. That's not a lie. The minute I see Joe is fighting me, when he's coming up in the ring, I do little things to make sure my shield's in the right place. You know, I can put it here, and that's good enough for everyone else, and I know, it's kind of rubbing against my chin, that's fine. When Joe comes in, it's like, oh, I bring it up. Okay, it's right about my nose level, I'm good. Right? Because that shot is so dangerous. Even with good defense and good movement, right, he can still hit me with it sometimes. So I bring my shield up a little bit as an adjustment. But that's because it's a good shot. And he doesn't just throw over the top. You throw and you bring the sword back, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's like a SCA kind of.
yeah, it's like an SCA. Because when we started fighting, we had a lot heavier weapons. So you'd have to lose body mechanics in order to do it. So most of the time, I would start the hip moving forward, and I'd start the arm moving forward. I would get to my point where I wanted to snap, and then I'd pop the hips back and turn the wrist to let it drive it down. So I'm actually hitting on the pullback.
That's interesting.
Instead of hitting like these flat back guys do like that.
Because even if James was to just barely move his board up, it would probably block just a flat snap wrap.
Oh, I will, yeah.
Whereas that pullback is going to give you not only that more power, but it will give you that like a little bit of extra range and angle, right?
Because I'm basically throwing past their shield,
Yeah.
and then it's coming back, right? As opposed to trying to move just over their shield or something.
Yeah, that adjustment was 100% because of that pullback. Because I don't generally have to raise. I don't get hit shield side very much at all, and I generally don't have to raise for anyone. But because he throws a little taller than me, a lot taller than me, and throws like that, I had to bring my shield up a little bit. It was much safer for me. Even like I said, than just using movement to block, which is my preferred method. I had to make a slight adjustment. So I just make that adjustment at the beginning of a fight. But yeah, so that's a very good shot.
So it's a punch forward, right? So I'm not necessarily sticking my arm out too much. There is a chance somebody could do a real quick chop maybe, but a lot of times that's why I'm going to do a fake over here and then throw that. But so I'm punching forward, and then I do my snap, and I'm still in an okay defensive position here because my arm's behind my hand. The snap comes my elbow comes back, my shoulder comes back, I get right here, I drop my elbow, I'm in guard.
Do you ever follow it up with like a outside grab? Or
Outside grab?
yeah, so like you do your snap, you do your initial snap, and then do you ever, instead of just coming back to guard, do you ever just kind of like follow it up with like a hip wrap or anything like that?
Sure, I mean, if I throw this and I don't get anything, I can do this.
Thank you.
More likely though, if I throw this and I don't get anything, I'm probably gonna like crash over here somewhere.
In the dojo, I watched him kill 4 or 5 people in a row with it. I made a bet with Noah that, not a bet, more a dictate, because Noah's my student, that anytime Joe hit him with a high ball, he owed us a high ball, drinking one himself.
Oh, yeah.
He was like,
Whiskey and
buy us a
Sprite or
high ball.
something, you know.
Yeah, whiskey and Sprite, yeah, exactly. So he's pretty deep into the high ball
I was just saying,
entry
is
now.
that why no one needs that new liver?
So, you know, and it's a shot that we see all the time, but it's good enough that if you're not paying attention a little bit, you can get hit with it, even if you're aware that it's coming. So it's a very solid and very distancey shot for the tall people in the class, especially. I think it's going to be super good for y'all.
So, if I ever get, you know, a normal sized or shorter person, you know, to just freeze for a second in this middle distance, that's all I need. I mean, if they like get confused or they're waiting for something to happen, boom.
Yeah.
I like it.
I have a quick question. So when you're throwing it, you're actually pushing off the back foot first to get your movement, and then when you snap back, you're pivoting off your front foot.
When I throw it, I'm actually doing the hips, right? The feet are moving, but the hips are what's guiding the forward movement of the chest, the shoulder, the arm, and then the hips popping back is what's then driving the torso and the shoulder back, which is doing the snap.
Yeah, actually, I normally don't teach the shot because I'm really not that great at throwing it. So the fact that Joe's here is really cool for the tall guys, especially because, you know, I'm only going to teach you something I'm not good at throwing because I will just teach bad theory behind it or bad footwork or something that's important. So, in other words, when you're asking about this one, I can't really help you with it as well. So I would make sure to talk to him and make sure you get it.
Yeah, me or Arthon or most of the tall guys.
Nice.
Does Sponge know how to do it?
No, Sponge is all weird angles, okay?
Yeah.
He's
Just
gonna
like
be
Chris
all over
does
the
a lot.
place.
Yeah, he's not really one he throws that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk to him, but yeah. So again, when you're maintaining that good distance, and just like what he said, when they pause in that bad zone, right? He can just pop right into that. Exactly, like when he sees, like you catch someone in prep or something. We say a lot in Austin. It's like someone's going to do something clever. You can usually kind of tell when they're itching to do something clever, and they go to do something, and you just go, "Wah!" And fucking caught me in prep. You know, I mean that happens quite a bit, and that shot is perfect for that. If you catch
Case in
him
point,
in the zone.
Ash
Yeah.
sets up a lot. I was just thinking, I was like, I'm gonna use this on him next tournament, specifically this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think it would be good for that. So for myself, when I'm deciding to play a distance game, I will use a lot more fakes from the outside. You know, to be 100% honest, I maintain distance a lot until I don't, and I think that's really like the good way to go, right?
Even I do that.
Yeah, even the shot he's throwing is still like he's not staying a crazy distance away, right? So double board side is something I've been teaching more relatively new, and this is an awesome shot because it sets up so much offense. Let me borrow it. So double board side is exactly what it sounds like. It's a double attack to the board side for someone. And now we're maintaining distance, right? When she's coming at me, and I'm doing my full, and you see where our cheek is already getting to where we talked about getting off center and our cheek being hit. Well, we're doing that, and then as soon as she's coming, remember how we opened up AK-47 like this? We're going to use that same opener, right? So, especially if we have them conditioned to think AK-47 when we use that opener, now we're going to hit them with something completely different. So, now we got our good distance maintained. We're going to use that same closing step. We're just going to go high on the board side. Remember how we set up AK-47 when we came in, or all our low stab stuff? Now we're using Now we're doing it for distance. We come high, and we go board side. So board, and what we're playing off of here is the amp guard instinct, which is horrible. I've blocked, now I'm fine. And tons of amp guarders think, even good fighters think, I've blocked, now I'm fine, right? Because we're playing this, I get one turn, you get a turn, I get a turn, you get a turn. I like to cheat that rule, and it's my turn until I'm done with it being my turn, right? And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're throwing a nice, good combo. They're both kind of hitting the same location, which I already felt like they blocked. So they're more thinking I have to block something else than I have to think block the same side, and you're just pop, closing it off. You know, boom, boom. Now, range-wise, again, you know, what we have to do, right there, what we have to do is get to this position, right? Now, I've shown you how I can do it. Do you think I can let her do it for me? If she really wants to close on me, can I let her close that space for me?
Sure.
How would I do that, do you think?
A stutter, maybe?
Just change leads, right? Because we have to get here, we change leads. But what if we let her come to me? So she's stepping towards me, I step off center, she steps in, yeah. And I change to the left, I change my lead by stepping backwards now. It puts me in the right position, all ready to go to the top. So when we're talking about changing range now, I said you have to take a closing step. Now I'm telling you, you don't. If they're insistent on pressing on you, you can do this, step out, boom, right over the top. So one way or the other, you have to end up in this position, right? And again, remember, I told you, you can do this from a right foot lead as well. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but you can. It's just about sliding the back foot up. Here, it's not as easy to let them take away from you, the space away from you. Well, it is because your right foot lead, she comes, you can, again, go over the top. You know, it's just about letting them, you can let them at that point. It just depends on if they're really interested in pressing you or not. Like Nate from my gym will press all the time. That's like his go-to thing is I'll press the crap out of people. And so you could do that on someone like them. Let them do it for you. But obviously you can easily just do it yourself as well. And it's 2 attacks to the board side. One more shot and then we'll let you practice some. It's the other second variation of double board side that goes low to high, right? So I go ass wrap. And again, because these openers aren't meant to really hit per se, it's just to get them to lock down. So again, I'm maintaining my distance, she's pressing into me, and I come here. Now, I just step. If she's coming in, I don't have to step. If she's not, I step and go over the top. So it goes top, top. And the important thing about both of these shots is I don't retract my sword all the way between these shots. So if I throw here, right, if I go like this and then step and go over, the timing is a lot more than if I throw here, I step my sword and go over. See the difference? Plus my sword's already in a lot of the space I need with my sword's already there, so I come to my sword with my body. It's almost parallel to her shield. It makes my job super easy. Whereas if I pull it all the way back, now when I step in, look what the position of my sword. It's not nearly as good. I've got to regain all that distance and spend time, and more than likely they'll adjust their guard and block it. So you leave your sword out there. Not forever. You can't go, oh, when am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? Right? You're going to get armed. But if it's here, right, it's much, much better. So leave the sword out, step, over, done. Leave the sword out, step, around, done. Double board side. Variation 1 and 2.
Are those the only 2 shots?
Huh?
No, but got the distance shot too.
And the tall guy,
It's all good. And then, well, anyone should go for that.
Yeah, anyone can go for that shot.
It works for shorter guys too. It'll actually let you hit the backs of the shoulders of taller people. So I just got to change the angle a little bit.
Pork chop throws it. Robert throws it too, right?
It's all the
So-
body.
I was gonna say, so for a short guy doing that one,
That snap.
a lot of what I've seen do is there's a little bob of the,
Yeah.
if you bob down a little bit, they pull their guard down and then you can get that.
Come over the top. Yeah, makes sense. All right.
Even I might do that. I might do a little knee bend and a little sword thing here to try to draw them down.
And if you do it crazy enough, it's a little separate pop.
To accomplish is giving you some options for closing and some options for distance. Now, in the end, no matter what, you still end up closing to some extent. Even if you let them take the distance still has to be where you can actually throw a shot. So, but we talked about like I'm hard pressing, or I want to just maintain range, right? And we move how when we want to maintain range?
Back is the right.
What about when we're closing? How do we move?
Directly backwards.
Right to the right? And what about if they're left-handed? How do we move?
Move to the right.
We're still moving to the right? So it's pretty easy to remember that as you're doing these things, we especially want to protect this because it's meta to throw that right now. So we really want to take that shot away from people. Movement will take it away from people.
And what James means by meta is just really popular and generally works for people.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess that's a video game term I'm used to using it.
I think most people use it.
It's the in thing right now.
Yeah.
It's meta.
So,
The meta is meta.
you know, can I borrow you real quick? So, when I talked about like a lot of this stuff building off of a game, right? Everything that I showed you, right? This to this, right? This to that, this to this, or this to that, right? Or even this, if you fake it, the high, back down to a low, right? We're building off of this game where we're really attacking these two quadrants. And then we introduce this to this, which attacks that quadrant. Drakknar talked about this out to that, where it comes up to the back on the wrap. Again, a good closing shot for him, right? So we kind of introduced all this, but what we built here, I hope, is a game that we can use, right? Whether we want to maintain distance or whether we want to close, what we have is a game. And then what you'll get to, and I didn't have time to cover this, but what you'll get to, right, is I'll throw here, right? And then I'll come here to go high, he reacts, oh, I'm just going to go back low, right? Because it's a shot we already know, it's a shot we can throw. We throw AK-47 all the time, but oh, he's ready for that, right? So I twitch here, then I go back high, right? So now we have this, no matter what kind of they do in this magical step that's coming forward, no matter what they do, we can have a solution that will still end up with us having foam on their body and then going like to the back of the line, right?
So it's kind of like a magician's force, right? Whichever direction they go, it's going to be bad. We're going to react like and do something.
Because we've already thought ahead of what's going to happen and we have a solution to the problem, right? It doesn't work 100% of the time. It works a high percentage of the time when you get it down. And you're not going to go out there on the dish field and have it like magically down right away. However, I don't think we've shown anything to you that's like, oh God, that shot's impossible for me to throw. I can't possibly throw that shot. It's too difficult, right? I think high ball is probably the hardest thing we showed you, and even that, it's not too hard. It's just a matter of like getting the technical movement of it down, right? But all of it is pretty easy, and more importantly than that, it flows together, right? So you can kind of seamlessly go from one to another, have a game from I'm controlling distance to, oh, now I'm on a hard press. And that's what you need to be able to do, because if you're always a distance fighter and you're always countering, you're predictable, you're going to die to good fighters. On the alternate side, if you're always pressing, you're always pushing into someone, they can adapt to that as well, you're going to die to good fighters. So you have to be able to vary your games, keep them guessing, never let them know exactly what it is you're going to do that day. Or even switch gears if it's not working, go to, oh, I'm going to have to play a range control game because, you know, I'm pressing real hard, but things just don't seem to be working. Well, don't just continue to do that and have it not working, get you frustrated and have a horrible day. Like, switch it up. All right, now I'm going to play some range for a little bit and see if I can at least get some idea about what's going on and change from there. So before we wrap up, even though we're over time, any questions?
I think I'm good.
Good? Yeah, we tried to answer throughout. I tried to get y'all up and you know, doing things as well instead of just lecture the whole time. Plus, you do need to practice these shots a little bit. So.
Did you want to show off any of the like lefty stuff that we had just chatted about? Like, I know we didn't cover it with the class. Because, well, I mean, basically the main variation is that instead of doing like, for the initial shots that you showed off, it was like throw and then you throw the reverse hip wrap. It's the exact same stepping. It's just instead you have to be conscious of the fact that they're going to throw a hip wrap at you instead of throwing like the reverse one. So it's going to be a little faster.
Yeah. Generally, like with lefties like AK-47, right, what we did was instead of like going reverse, we're already over here. And I know a hip wrap is already a lefty thing and people tease lefties for throwing only hip wraps. But if you're like leading into it with something else, especially, I think one, you're not just throwing a hip wrap, right? And what we do here is we throw that sword side and then we step out and throw that. And when I showed that to Captain Headshot, who's one of our lefties. One, he stopped hitting my head 'cause he was going for another target. But two, like it worked very well for him, right? Because he had always just like, oh, I'll throw these massive big haymakers, and like when someone had a solution for him, you know, his solution was to throw harder, which wasn't a good solution for me, even though I blocked it. If it did hit my head because he was going high, you know, it was bad. So, you know, giving him here to here was magic. Again, we're taking that lateral step that gets us outside of their block, right, and being able to hit them. And it's the same thing with the stab fake. My stab fake here is a lefty. One, that's a very legit threat from a lefty. Marshall and I trade that stab, you know, off and on a fairly frequent basis. Now we're both pretty conscious of it, but for a while we were like, ha ha, right? And so if they're worried about that, then you can just step back out and come right back out to that hip, you know. So they're definitely shots that lefties can use, and you can use on lefties even more importantly, right? And then, you know, finally for the lefty variations, we had a couple in the class. This shot is actually really good on lefties because lefties tend to cheat their boards over to protect this, and because no one punishes them over here, right? So they're like, oh, I get to cheat my board because this side, no one throws for that, so why would I worry about it, right? What happens when I bring my board all the way over here? This hip opens up and no one throws at it. So, you know, you can come with a hip shot right at a lefty cannon to right, even because we tend to do the same thing against lefties. If we want to protect the shoulder or protect this hip, you can come with that. You know, you kind of have to get low, like Zach was saying, to hit it. My solution is different. Like, my way to get low on that is to throw a spin at it. Right? It does the same thing though, just to get like right into that spin. So that's kind of the lefty variation, right? I showed some flow variation, but I don't know if we have a ton of time. But you know, we have one flow person in the class as well, so.
Slow people.
That's fair.
Yeah, I guess one quick piece, you know, a flow person's primary weapon should be their left hand. If it's not, they're not a really good flow person. Let's just start with that as a reality. I think that's agreed upon reality. You know, it's almost law. But, you know, despite what some people say about crossing, you can trick people with some of these shots that we talked about, like AK-47. If I throw this, he expects this, right? Because every lefty, that's the first shot they learn. Ha ha, ha ha, flow person. Ha ha, I'm a flow person, right? I can throw this all day long, right? Well, what happens if I change it, right? I come here, they don't see this move until I, right? They're not ready for this to do anything. Because this is fighting over here where it's supposed to be, right? I mean, some of them are going to be looking for this, but they're not really looking for this. So you bring this sword over to become your shield now, essentially, at this point for the shoulder, and you throw that same shot. So there's a little bit about how we did flow variations for this as well. So, yeah. Any other questions, comments?
So,
all right.
hey, thank you guys for your participation. These classes are just awful if nobody really participates or tries to ask questions or get involved. Instructors are all here for you. If anybody wants to try to work on the technique on the high ball or something, just come grab me sometime when I'm not, you know, doing something too exciting. If I'm just sitting around gabbing with like, you know, guys I've known 20 years, then yeah, come grab me.
If you bring them a high ball when you ask them the question, it's even better.
But it pretty much
It's
goes,
a dry site, everyone. It is a dry site.
but that pretty much goes for all the instructors. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same. Anyone here should be exactly the same. We're here to help you guys. So, all right. Thanks.
Thank you guys. Thank you.